banger time. We've got MOUZ versus Fnatic Rising. I have been hyped for this matchup all day. It is Fnatic coming in as arguably the underdogs, but I really feel like it is a test for them here versus MOUZ. Like, this is the real test for Fnatic.
I mean, I think it's a hard call, honestly, because I think it's one of those situations where #1 seed from the NLC, and obviously the Prime League has been the more prestigious league when you look across, the history, but Fnatic has always been that outlier. They've been the team who've exceeded expectations for the region, and even if we're ignoring sort of the results at E-Masters, there's always been a lot of scrim talk about their strengths and how they even match up against the LEC teams. So it's hard to call. I think it is very close, and it's really going to come down to the plan coming into the game and the execution.
Absolutely. And I think, when I look back and think of Fnatic, that they have always come into the European Masters a little bit like LDLC used to be, with super high expectations, a lot of chatter behind the scenes, like you said, in terms of the scrim power of this team, but haven't quite executed. And MOUZ, they've got Leader and Obsess, already European Masters champions. I don't need to tell you about the playstyle of Leader. He's probably the most unique mid laner in our entire tournament for good reason. This guy's a bloody monster.
Yeah, and I'm just keen to see a lot of matchups in this situation. I think bot lane's interesting. I want to see Jeskla and promisq because they've really had a lot of moments where they've shone and pop off. In fact, I'm just going to say it. MOUZ are the pop-off team.
They are the pop-off
team. And there are so many players. I mean, you normally hone in on the bot mid lane, but Tolkin has been tearing up a storm, particularly in playoffs in the Prime League.
They're targeting Magi out a little bit with this Galio ban here. He's very good at influencing the map. It's a quite safe pick in the mid lane. They're already getting rid of leaders Akali. Akali kind of floating back into the meta a little bit as of late. We saw Ronaldo play it to good effect yesterday in the 1-3-1. And I actually want to kind of expand on that pop-off point. I got some stats from some of our casters. I think it was Gulborg specifically.
Yep.
MOUZ have an average kill participation across the team of about 60%. You think, oh, 60%, that's good. It's the lowest in the league. Like, this team, they solo kill. They are individual players, and then they accumulate that into a win just through solo prowess, whereas Fnatic are much more team-oriented.
Yeah, that is a complete contrast. I mean, it's not even just the way that Fnatic plays on the map, it's also in team fights. They are like one organism moving together, whereas MOUZ prefer these split fights where, you have the backline dive coming out from Leader, they're splitting things up, you have Peel for Jeskla on the front line, and it's been left open.
It's been left open. I mean, is it a bait for Fnatic? Like, obviously we see the Kalista locked in, so already there's a bit of, like you said, you're excited about the bot lane. You're already expecting to see a lot of pressure go down with the Kalista. It's Bravado's Taric, though. You just lock it in.
And also, in this situation, it's also denying away a strong combo, because Taric isn't really played too much by people other than Bravado, but when it is, it's usually with that Kalista, so it works in tandem in two sort of opportunities. But I'm a little bit concerned about how they're going to apply this bot lane pressure. I think ultimately for Maddie, there's options here. We could potentially see things like the Ashe come up. I think they're going to leave that for now and actually toying with the Nocturne.
But also it denies it from Obsess.
Yeah.
Obsess is a big Nocturne player, so...
And also, I just want to highlight this. Nocturne Taric is really dirty.
That's nutty.
That is really dirty because you put the ult down, he flies in. It's that guaranteed engage. And if I'm playing Kalista into this, I'm not going to be having a good time.
I'm going to make an analogy for this draft. It's like a fist fight already. We've got a fist fighting draft before we even get into the game, which is absolutely insane. I'm very excited to see. We actually criticize Bravado sometimes, as a player that maybe struggles with champion, or at least effective champion pool. He maybe struggles with effective champion pool, but I can tell you one pick he's damn effective on. It is his renowned Taric, so they're very happy to lock that in. And like you said, going to immediately go for that. This is very common for MOUZ, by the way. Regardless of top lane matchup, Tolkin, who I think has been an excellent player in the top lane, he will just blind Urgot on blue 3 every time.
Yes, and that's a great point. And I'm just, they're locking it in. They're locking in the Karthus, so...
xMatty, for sure.
99% sure.
But it could be Magi.
It could be Flexes coming in here, but for now, we'll assume it's Maddie. He did play that in the NLC. He can pair that up with the Taric. It makes it a very hard bot lane to engage on. You see a Sett, you see a Kalista. This to me is we want to go in. You see a Taric and a Karthus. This is try us.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to see how this draft has developed. I think MOUZ going very much what we expected. A lot of curveballs from Fnatic, in all honesty.
I feel a bit of a dichotomy between Nocturne and Karthus, though. Nocturne is more aggressive. He's looking to get into the back line. That's the only dichotomy. Obviously, you can always follow it with the Karthus ultimate, right? So you're always looking to maybe blow up one person.
It's dive buddies, except the Karthus doesn't even need to be anywhere near. And also, if the enemy team tries to counter dive, Karthus is honestly chilling. So it's not like you have a vulnerable AD carry you have to worry about. you have a Karthus who, honestly, if he goes down, it can often work out more favorably. Now, in the second rotation, do you see the Fiddlesticks banned out? And then we see the Shen. So I think the Shen is the really one I want to highlight. I would not want to see a Shen as well with this composition. That would literally just be everything in the kitchen sink on the back of this Nocturne.
So I think what you're seeing from Fnatic is quite clearly they're respecting the flexibility of Sett here, support even to leader in the mid lane if he absolutely wanted it in that matchup. It also denies it away from MagiFelix, who's had some excellent Sett performances in the NLC. So Lilia and Fiddlesticks banned here. It's Cassiopeia and Shen taken away for Fnatic Rising. They are now going to get their pick. They've already likely got their bot lane locked in, so it's probably it's okay. All right. It's xMatty locking in Vayne.
Or is it Pride locking in Vayne? You know, he's been playing a lot of Lucian top recently. This could be another flex. And the thing is, you know, we can have Nocturne mid, we can have Nocturne top. In theory, yes, jungle's a more common one, but there's still a lot of... The only thing I'm certain of is it's Taric support. That is the only thing I'm firmly putting down on paper, is it's Taric support. And we have actually seen Leader play a lot of Sylas. I like this because there are some choice ults on that enemy team. I think the Cosmic Radiance and the Requiem, both really good options for the Sylas. Now, Requiem doesn't quite kick as much if you don't have Dark Harvest, but still a really nice one to get your hands on.
We'll see what Obsess is going to be. Well, we assume Obsess because of the Nidalee hover. We're obviously not entirely sure. The Bard gets logged in here. So Bard, it will be the Sett jungle, the Sylas mid, the Bard, Kalista bot lane, with Tolkin taking that. I was only sure. I was sure of it's likely going to be obviously the Urgot in the top lane. But we have the final pick here for Fnatic. This has been like a wild draft.
It's been a roller coaster, honestly. And we'll get to see what the final pick is, which is...
I can't even guess. That's the problem.
We'll just wait and see. We can't really say. It's going to be the Renekton, so we'll have Renekton top, Taric bottom. Oh, is it Renekton? Let's just see. Let's just see how it pans out. It's hard to call in this current situation. Yeah. I think they might be putting the Renekton to the mid lane to actually challenge the Sylas. And then it is Vayne top.
It's actually...
Vayne into Urgot's actually a really good matchup because you can actually keep him at bay consistently. If he tries to dash on you, you can condemn, and you just shred him. You absolutely shred him. They still have the defensive bot lane. They have a good matchup mid, good matchup top, which they need for Dan to flourish on this Nocturne.
Can I just talk about the evolution of Pride for a moment? So, in the NLC, I don't know if any of you probably didn't catch a huge amount of it, but in the NLC, Pride was... He started off as being more of a role player top lane. And then as
a bit underwhelming as well.
A bit underwhelming top lane. And suddenly has become more and more of a carry, playing Lucian twice and absolutely smurfing on it in the NLC finals. And now he's on Vayne. And after that Camille performance from yesterday too.
I think he's still a role player, but he's gone from being like, okay, we need a tank here, to, okay, what do we need here? And Pride's like, I'll do anything. I'll do anything. You want to play Karma top? I'll do it. You want to play Vayne top? I'll do it. And it's really insane to see, honestly, this transition, because I was hyping up Tolkin coming into this. I'm like, this guy has really been a driving force, but Pride, by all means, I have to give so much praise for, because his sort of rise up to this point on Fnatic Rising has been huge.
Now, obviously, I'm excited about this draft. I'm excited to see Fnatic Rising quite clearly. You know, I can afford to be a little bit biased, but I do want to set the expectations that I do think MOUZ come in just based on that dominant performance from yesterday, the 19-minute win, the quickest win in the European Masters so far. MOUZ do come in as a very strong contender here. You know, if anything, if I was going to give a percentage, I would almost argue 55-45 MOUZ, because I feel like ever so slightly, I've just seen how dominant MOUZ have been, especially from that playoffs run in the lower bracket of the Prime League.
Which is fair, but after seeing the draft, I'm actually weighing towards Fnatic Rising. I think they have good answers across the map. And really, you look at champions on the side of MOUZ, you look at the Sett, you look at the Kalista, you know, these champions that want momentum, want to get going. There's a lot of Fnatic Rising that will shut that down, and I'm concerned if this goes late, MOUZ don't necessarily have enough tools to deal with Fnatic Rising.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. But MOUZ are not a team that generally likes to go late. They're a team that generally tends to take...
We had 10 minutes of nothing last game, just passive farming. We are not seeing this game.
I'm excited to see MagiFelix on this Renekton as well. It's something that actually we saw Leader struggle with in his Misfits Premier outing when we saw Genax playing it for, I think it was for SK when they matched up against MOUZ. Oh my goodness, MagiFelix.
Level 1, he just W'd him, press the attack and just beat him up.
This is actually the lane matchup that I was really excited about, because Leader quite known for his flashy 1v1s. He's known for his assassin play, his ability to just skill check his opponents time and time again. you're skill checking one of the best mid laners outside of the LEC, and that is going to be the test for Leader here. Can you get that kind of advantage? Can you just be that much better than the likes of Magi?
Especially in this matchup as well. And I think something you said, not here on broadcast, but you're saying you feel like MagiFelix for all is going to be to negate Leader. When I think of negating, I think, oh yeah, Orianna, Azir. I don't think Renekton. I think this is him really saying, I want to shut him down more than anything. I want to be able to challenge this person and also facilitate Dan, because that's something I wanted to hone in on. Dan is so good in this meta where farming junglers are king, and he often needs that priority from teammates to set himself up for that, and here he's going to have it.
And just to set some context, MagiFelix, if anyone doesn't realize, we're a little bit careful here, he does get taken down fairly low by Leader. He actually has 5 accounts in Challenger, and they're all on the separate roles. So he's even had that top lane Renekton experience, just to throw in there when he plays the Renekton in the mid lane. Not hugely relevant, but you know. You know,
it's a nice little tidbit. It's one of those nice little facts you like to throw in just to keep things fresh and spicy. We do see a little bit of pressure shown there by Obsess in the mid lane, clears out that ward, and a big wave on the side of Leader does allow him to crash that in. He should actually be able to recall if he wants here and get a little bit of an item advantage on MagiFelix. Remember, he also has TP, so obviously the combat summoner favors MagiFelix. In terms of getting those resets, getting an item lead, it is in Leader's side.
So we are seeing the bot lane take priority here, Jeskla and promisq, and that's one of the things that I did want to talk about. If there has been an area of Fnatic Rising that has been a little bit lackluster maybe at times, it has been xMatty and Bravado. Oh my word, Pride taking Tolkin very low here. One more ult attack could be it.
Shield.
The shield keeps him alive and Pride taken down.
The minions look, oh, he's so low.
Oh, goodness me, but he's obviously going for it. I don't even know if the wave's in a great spot for him right here. He's probably going to have to teleport directly back to lane.
It's tense. It's tense. I'm hyped. I'm already hyped. We said we were hyped coming into this game, but there's a lot of tense moments, and that should bounce back.
It should be fine, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, it means that potentially they can look for an opportunity where they punish him, but realistically, I think this is very much just being isolated lane matchups, because right now, Dan is just farming. And that is really what he's focused on this Nocturne, is getting to that level 6 as soon as possible, because then you can facilitate those strong laners on the back of that. You know, Pride does want to overstep. If he does want to try and contest, you can back that up. Now, Pride does TP in and start pushing the wave. And this potentially Obsess can find a route in to look to punish him top.
Look at the bot lane CS discrepancy right here. I mean, Jeskla really taking hold of that 2v2 with promisq on the Bard. That is the one sore spot of the map at this point in time. And that is where you're expecting Fnatic to have to play super far back, but you're also expecting, you know, MOUZ to put some pressure through. We're expecting bot lane dives. We're expecting Bravado and Matty to be on the receiving end. As you can see, some deep vision goes down into the blue side.
I agree we're expecting the pressure and to translate that, but when you say bot lane dives and I see Taric Karthus, I'm a little bit concerned.
Yeah.
You know, they have the exhaust as well. It's dangerous. You know, we'll have to see if potentially they can bring it out, but for now, I was talking about the item advantage. The double Doran's from Leader is actually able to trade effectively with MagiFelix there. And considering, you know, this was picked for MagiFelix to sort of go ham in the lane, he's actually in a little bit of a sore spot. He has to stay to catch this wave or he'll fall behind. But he's getting bullied.
And he's just got the Ignite as well, and he picked for lane.
Yeah.
He picked, and you know, going up against the teleport from Leader, who's going to retain a bit of utility throughout this game. You see Bravado and xMatty here just trying to bite back a little. They're down 17 CS at this point in time, so really is hugely in favor. And that bot lane priority has allowed Obsess to go for this dragon for free. Dan, not too keen on contesting again, just looking to power farm, like you said.
Yeah, I don't think you're too concerned about the first dragon. Even the second is one you can give away. Again, there's a lot of scaling elements on Fnatic Rising that comfortable leaning on, but also just there's a little bit of a mid lane discrepancy. That lean from Obsess to get the lead with a favorable reset has put him in a good spot where he's actually able to contest his priority against MagiFelix.
You're right, Magi just taking a bit of a beating here, falling behind ever so slightly. You can see those dives in on to Leader. Has that ultimate available. But Leader,
he's just losing that trade again.
He's just king of the 1v1s. Now, actually, Dan is level 6. He's going to go straight in onto Leader. The teleport and the flash and the igniter there. MagiFelix forced away because he is being babysat. Down by Obsess. Lots of damage and forces the flash out of MagiFelix to return. And actually, the 2v2 really won out by MOUZ here.
I mean, Magi was just so low, and then he ends up overstaying that scenario, and Obsess is there. He's floating, he's there in position to assist. promisq even moving up because of the priority bot lane. Ultimately, that felt like almost a desperational from Dan. Oh, my mid lane is struggling when he shouldn't be. I'll do something to help out, but MOUZ were already ready and waiting.
And we asked that question of Leader versus MagiFelix, like, who comes out on top? Right now, it's Leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is that Sylas is going to scale up, is going to be a threat. Now, Looking towards Pride in the top lane, I'm thinking Vayne, a pretty good answer. If you can maneuver well in the team fights, Sylas is going to struggle to deal with you. But for now, he's pretty much just been farming away.
Yeah, hasn't really got many more advantages versus Tolkin here, especially post-6. I guess you have to be a little bit worried about taking those extended trades, especially with the ultimate. But you can see Pride here. You said just able to outrange Urgot for the most part, beat him back with those silver bolts.
Yeah, but ultimately, you can see Tolkin's not really that bothered. He's just like, I'll just kill the wave and reset.
Yeah.
Cool. You do your thing, I'll do mine. And as much as obviously Vayne does come online extremely heavily in the later stage of the game, you get a big mid-game spike from the Urgot. You know, when you're hitting those sort of level 13 points, that's a very big spike for him. There's a lot of good item break points around that point, and he's going to be very relevant.
Now, what are we looking for as our next big pressure point? Is it going to be that Rift Herald? It doesn't look like we're expecting a swap here from Fnatic Rising, so I think they're just giving up these early objectives to begin with.
Yeah, I think you're not really in a great spot to contest this one because ultimately MaGi isn't even level 6 yet. You know, Bravado's not even close. You really want that Cosmic Radiance to be working with. I think you just sacrifice this one. You collect farm on your carries. You can even see bot and top lane, they're actually just freezing the wave now, just collecting the farm. So not even looking to necessarily contest the plates, they're just trying to get farm on their important members.
And when we have things like the global ultimates, when we have things like the Nocturne ult, you always like to see, whenever they're used, you get something out of it, because they're a fairly long cooldown in the early game. That first ultimate from Dan, it was not effective, and they're going straight onto MagiFelix, who does not have that flash available. Immediately dived on, there goes leader, first blood for Jeskla. MagiFelix is the punching bag, and it will be MOUZ that take the first shot.
Really nice setup there. Now Pride could be in trouble.
Oh, condemned away. Now Obsess going to be running in, but Pride able to get a great condemn off and just trade a bit of damage back.
Yeah, really nicely played. Honestly, with the flash as well, it's very hard to sort of respond to that as the Vayne, but that little delay is enough for you to find it. Now we can see, waiting for a while, the dash is all MagiFelix has to escape. Stun lands perfectly from promisq. There's nothing you can do.
There's a target, a little bit of a target painted on his head, and a 20 CS lead, even more for leader in the mid lane. If you were looking to contain, if you were looking to beat, it just hasn't worked in this early game for Fnatic Rising.
I mean, look at the items now. You know, Blade of the Rune King feels awful until you finish it. Like, just having the Cutlass, it offers you sustain, sure, but you don't have a ton of fighting power. As leader already has that Seeker's Arm Guard stacking up, has that extra armor, which is super favorable, not just in this matchup, but also the fact that Dan is an AD jungler as well. So leader is feeling great right now in this game.
Level discrepancies in the bot lane too. Jeskla and promisq have been in complete control here. Fnatic needs a win on the map right now, and it doesn't really feel like there are many good avenues to find one. Dan's been farming up though, I guess.
Yeah, I will say that's one thing, is that although he hasn't been able to crush leader in this matchup, MagiFelix did give space to Dan. They had to focus on the Renekton problem first. Oh, look at the engage.
They don't have flash available here for leader. They're going to go in onto him. He takes a lot of sustain out, but the fear will come through. MagiFelix will take the kill, and he will bite back on that Renekton.
Yeah, nicely chained the CC together, and also you saw Dan actually getting quite low, taking a tower hit. He just moves out of range to reset the aggro, and ultimately leader can try, without the flash, without something like a stopwatch, it's hard to really outplay that. So a nice punish there from Fnatic Rising.
The Rift Herald dropped in that bot lane. They have taken a huge number of plays, and with xMatty the only one responding here, he's going to have to be careful. Surely first turret goes down for free on the side of MOUZ. Jeskla is going to get a whole bunch of gold thrown his way, and that Kalista is going to start to snowball more heavily.
Yeah, I mean, that is ideal scenario for a Kalista. You're taking the first tower, you're getting the gold yourself. Yes, we haven't seen a ton of kills in the bot lane, but I'm looking at a Kalista with 5,200 gold.
Gold lead. That is a 2,000 gold lead individually. The whole gold lead is just Jeskla.
Yeah. Literally. And that hits for Fnatic Rising, especially as this dragon's just going to go uncontested. So that's now 2 dragons for MOUZ. They have a gold lead on this Kalista, who's very relevant right now. And you really got to ask is, when are Fnatic Rising going to be able to contest this? Because I'm looking towards that 3rd dragon as usually the point when teams are like, okay, we need to objective this now. We need to stop them chaining together dragons before he gets close to Soul. With this discrepancy between the bot laners, I'm concerned.
And you kind of mentioned that you were really looking forward toward that bot lane matchup. Like, Jeskla and promisq are very strong as a duo. And xMatty and Bravado have sometimes left a little bit to be desired when it comes to the Fnatic dominance. And now Pride, potentially the target. There goes the Twisted Fate, or rather, not the Twisted Fate, my bad, Tempered Fate. I'm thinking about the wrong thing. He deflashes out.
That'd be a nice ult. If Bard just threw a Twisted Fate and then he just stun guarded you. Yeah, but I mean, it's one of those
A little
things
bit OP,
where...
I think.
A little bit, in all honesty, especially if he stayed and just played the rest of the game. But we do see Pride TPing in to defend. He's actually going to pair up with Bravado here. So flipped a little bit. It allows MaGi to farm up, but it means we're still having that AD carry support dynamic now. MagiFelix being pressured, should just be able to walk this one out. But ultimately, you can see how aggressive MOUZ are being right now, how far they are pushing up, and it's because they have the freedom to. Right now, Fnatic Rising aren't really able to do much to stop it, but they have just been farming up. You know, we've seen Pride pulling ahead in terms of farm, we've seen Dan doing so, and MaGi, who there was a big discrepancy for, has started to catch up. But
Matty? Like, you were hiding in the brush there, now you're going to flash away. I think you're just dead in this instance. He's going to get pulled back in by Tolkin. I don't know what you were doing, mate.
So usually when a play happens, I try and think, why did they do that? What was the plan? What were they looking to achieve from that? I got nothing. I honestly have not... I don't know what you expected when you went for that play.
You're 2 levels down, you're a Karthus with not even a single completed item. I guess because Fnatic were rotating down, Dan did have that ultimate available, he just went a little bit too early.
Yeah, quite a bit too early. Looks really, really hard in all honesty, but it's trying to make a cross-map play, it fails, Tolkin gets a free kill, and then MOUZ is just putting more pressure on this top side of the map. Taking this tower is going to put Jeskla even further ahead.
I think you're starting to see some of the weaknesses of this Fnatic draft, right? Outside of the combo of MagiFelix and Dan, where's your proactivity in the early game? Like, what can you actually, what plays can you make outside of looking for a skirmish that you can potentially go in your favor in the larger team fight scale? Are we getting a... Do we really want to make MaGi feel bad twice?
Okay, so he kills his shield.
And then he just dies.
That's about it. I mean, it wasn't even close. And you can see the members on the minimap swarming down.
Yeah.
Just too early. Just way too early from MaGi. And I think he quickly realized that because he flashed away, but
like,
yeah.
The question is, like, what agency do Fnatic have with this draft? Like, apart from MagiFelix being decent earlier on, comboing with Nocturne pretty nicely, I feel like every other lane has absolutely zero agency.
But I mean, the thing is, top is fine to negate the Urgot, you know, and then bot is something you can then lean on when you start to get pressure mid and lean towards that. But ultimately, we saw a situation where MagiFelix was struggling mid, Dan was just farming up. They didn't actually get him a lot of success from their initial plays, and so they weren't able to translate that pressure down and capitalize. I think, yes, there's in every draft there's going to be weaknesses. I mean, we could see a similar situation if MOUZ hadn't been proactive and Jeskla fell behind. We probably would be saying a similar thing about MOUZ.
Sure.
Ultimately, I think MOUZ, they were the proactive team. They hit their win condition with what they wanted to do, and now they've been able to capitalize. You know, their Kalista is strong, is really relevant, and Fnatic.
But how do you
look for options.
I'm going to flip that to you. How do you be proactive as a Karthus Taric? Like
it's not the Karthus Taric though. You have MagiFelix and Dan having a strong 2v2 mid jungle.
So you're supposed to come down and translate that bot.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
And it should be hard to dive MaGi and Bravado. You shouldn't be able to kill them on a tower, so they should be able to withstand until they get the assistance. But unfortunately, that never happened. They never got that assistance from the mid jungle, and eventually they just had to give up their tower and back away, which obviously kind of just spun things out of control. And now MOUZ are taking a second Rift Herald, Dragon's up in a minute. We're seeing a situation with a 4K gold up. MOUZ are looking good.
4K at 15 minutes into the game, and let's take stock right now. Kalista very far ahead, working with that zeal towards the Hurricane already, and only just some single items completed. Not even a Blade of the Ruined King yet for Pride either. The question to you is, like, if you take a stock of where we are now, how far do Fnatic have to get before they can even compete with MOUZ?
I mean, it's not just how far, it's also, will it matter? Because I can sort of say, you know, this time in the game, but realistically, we have Dragon in 30 seconds. Do I think they contest that? No. I mean, I just think you lose. Maybe they go for it. Maybe they pull out a miracle team fight. But realistically, I see the Kalista on 2 items. I am very concerned. And then it's really, can they contest by the 4th Dragon? That has to be the big question. And I think the game continues here. I think it's going to be very difficult to do so. So, I don't know. It's a hard ask for Fnatic. I think execution in these team fight is going to be the king. I think that is the only way they make it back in this game because they don't have time to sit back in this game.
Leader's going to drop the Rift Herald on the top side of the map for that 3rd Drake. If you do not respond to this, and that immediately goes in straight onto Jeskla, and that's a great Tempered Fate. Sett ultimate straight back onto the mid lane tier 1, but the shutdown goes to MaGi. The ultimate coming in clutch for him on the Karthus. There's the Taric ultimate to buy some time to prevent this fight going much further as the invulnerability pays off dividends. And that's actually a pretty solid fight here for Fnatic Rising. A 1-for-1 just before the Dragon. You will take it.
Especially with how fed the Kalista is. And if you look at the low HP bars, when Fnatic can actually find their way into this Dragon, they're still searching for a fight.
Bravado just being aggressive on that Taric. Again, defending against this dragon will be of the utmost importance, and it looks like Fnatic have got it right.
Yeah, I mean, good execution. They found the dive on the Jeskla, and they threw everything at him. They even had MagiFelix flashing in, managing to find enough damage for the Karthus to clean up, but MOUZ are not done.
That is going to be the ultimate coming in return from leader. Now Tolkin moving through, and they do enough to zone away. Fnatic were too slow to capitalize, and they get their third dragon.
Yeah, and I mean, if the end result from a positive play, taking out this Fed Kalista, did you still lose the dragon? It's rough. And, you know, it's some good defensive play from MOUZ. I want to highlight that. We see the ult from the Bard coming in to stop Dan from getting the fear, even though he does finally get the end, and then the ult from the Sett to keep the Renekton locked up. It's not enough. We still see the Kalista go down, but it's a lot invested just to get one kill, and then they have to back away in Cosmic Radiance just to keep themselves alive. So all of those ultimates really used by the side of Fnatic to just get that one kill, and it kind of left them without any steam.
They also lost the top lane tier 2 whilst that was going on to the Rift Herald also.
And it did charge that inhibitor tower as well, so
yeah.
A potential vulnerability. And that was one of the windows. That was one of the windows where Fnatic needed to find a successful fight, answer back, deny that soul wing condition. They've missed it. I'm now looking at 4 minutes, and I'm concerned. And
look at what MOUZ are doing on the map. They're committing to a 1-3-1 tactic because they have the double teleport, and Fnatic will always be hamstrung by the Ignite on Renekton. They will always be hamstrung by the ability to have less influence across the map just due to summoner spells.
And you wouldn't be concerned if Renekton could just smash Sylas into the ground, but he's so far behind he can't do that, and Pride...
He's just dead here.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just
What to say? A nice stun from promisq, a nice opportunity to lean into those side lanes. We do see leader nearly 1v2.
Oh, he's trying to go for it, but won't be able to. MagiFelix gets that final basic attack through. They'll trade 1-for-1 across the map, but still Tolkin able to push onto that tier 2 in the bot lane.
Yeah, and we can see now they're capitalizing on this mid tower as well. Fnatic, they trade even in kills, but they're losing across the map. And this gold lead is just expanding further and further in favor of MOUZ.
You can see trying to get onto Bravado here. promisq has been so aggressive on this Bard. Very, very impressive from that bot lane. Honestly, a great game from him so far. Tolkin even takes that bot lane tier 2, and that gold lead has now opened up to 6,000 in favor of MOUZ.
Yeah, I just don't see the answer for Fnatic Rising. I mean, it is going to come down to that dragon fight. If you execute that fight perfectly, that is your way back in the game. Otherwise, you're pretty doomed. We're going to see that 1v2. They dive in for him, and they manage to find the CC, but he actually buys a lot of time, and the dominance being stolen, giving a lot of extra HP to use. It's close in this situation, actually, but they have just enough damage coming out from these two, and I think the critical thing was that initial CC very much delayed leader from finding his way in that fight.
And leader's now picked up the Zhonya's hourglass as well. He's going to become yeah, he's going to be a harder target to actually beat up in these fights. The Death Dance is on the way with the stopwatch. Now, that stopwatch feels like it's critical because this next dragon fight probably going to be very influential for the outcome of the game. And now with the stopwatch in Jeskla's pocket, if he is going to be the target, he buys time. And that allows MOUZ to group and focus targets and potentially cut this team fight in half.
I think it's hard. I think it's really hard to see a sort of window. Because the thing is, Pride, if Pride is at 2 items, you have a carry to play around, but that's not the case. Bravado
now being focused down, flashes across the wall here. Honestly, these aggressive journeys from promisq have been fantastic. And now leader trying to get straight onto MagiFelix, who doesn't have the ultimate, or he does have the ultimate to work with, but it may be too little too late for him as he's forced to pop it very early on, tries to get away, hasn't got the flash, and will be taken down by Jeskla. It just feels like Fnatic are completely helpless on their own side of the map right now. They have got no vision control, they have no idea where MOUZ are going, and they are just playing the fool.
I mean, MOUZ just seems so strong right now. They are just, considering this is the top team for the NLC, and Fnatic typically do well in the EU Masters, MOUZ are crushing them, in all honesty. There's no other way to phrase it. They are crushing them in every sort of metric of the win.
Yeah, and it's not even like this classic MOUZ where they're just out-skilling on the 1v1. They're beating Fnatic at the macro. They're beating Fnatic at those skirmishes and those team fights.
They're playing the map really well.
Exactly. And there's going to be another aggressive journey. promisq going in. We'll miss the stun this time round, so Fnatic may have enough time to get out. They've actually stolen the Cosmic Radiance. And they're going to pick up Bravado, who will drop without that flash. MOUZ, beautiful play.
Just his ability to seek out these kills, and it is something we often saw from them in the Prime League, but sometimes it felt like a bit less structured, just sort of, oh, see champion, kill champion. It feels very refined here. It feels to me like MOUZ, that playoff run they had, and since then they've stepped up and they look like a really formidable contender for the whole tournament, honestly.
And I came into this game, and I really wanted this to be the Titan of the NLC, the single remaining team. I know I'm crying a little bit inside too, but I really wanted it to be this really heavyweight matchup. You know, I was expecting Fnatic to finally live up to expectations. MOUZ have cut them off at the knees. They have really cut down expectations here because this does not even look close. But I think conversely, it really does set MOUZ up as a super strong team from the Prime League. Like, absolutely. Honestly, definitely the best looking Prime League team at this competition right now. And
I think it's telling that they swept the other teams who are at EU Masters from the Prime League. They just blew through them in playoffs. And I think they are looking a step above the rest. And now, Fnatic, you've got to look a step above the rest if you're going to take this team fight, because that Mountain Soul goes down and MOUZ, I think it's just over.
You've got Pride. Remember, he has been basically farming for the majority of this game, and there may be a situation where Pride becomes relevant here. I'm going to go for the Dragon. It actually looks like MagiFelix is going very aggressive now. Maddie's going to be the target. He's stolen the Karthus ultimate. Here comes the engage, and immediately they're on to Leader in the backline. He's going to Zhonya's, and he will be buying so much time, but Pride's going. Pride's in the backline. He's still trying to chunk that damage down, and xMatty's still there with the ultimate. He'll get the shutdown. The fight needed to happen. Pride, he's flushed into the middle of the bloody fight. What an absolute monster. But Leader's still going. He has that sustain available. The damage is lacking right now as Dan drives in. Leader's still alive. The double kill there, and unfortunately it is in vain as the triple kill for the monster from the Prime League. Leader will get the quadra, and MOUZ slam down.
Huge fight coming out there from MOUZ. Fnatic had so much momentum going forward. Pride was popping off, and I felt like this is it. This is the redemption. This is them getting back in. But they lost steam. Pride flashes forward, and Jeskla is there to answer. Leader is there to clean up, and he's showing his prowess on this Sylas. Definitely a close fight from MOUZ, but they managed to come out ahead.
It felt like Fnatic were on the cusp of potentially taking that fight. But honestly... Maddie? Okay.
Passive utilization. Passive utilization.
I feel like that's been
Pride
in general. Everybody from Fnatic?
What?
All right. I'm going to go sit back down on my seat here. MOUZ are going to capitalize on a couple of quick picks here.
We had a moment.
Rising. Let's end this game, guys. Put him out there, misery, as MOUZ pushing forward. You can never count Leader out in these fights, and he proved it on the Soul Point. Ult will come through from Dan, but it is in vain as the Prime League champions take their second win in absolutely dominant fashion here in the European Masters group stages.
And there was a moment where I felt like Fnatic had found their way back in, but it didn't even last for a full team fight. It's the problem.
I know. I was like, Pride, you madman. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
But look, I think quite clearly we have seen how powerful MOUZ are. They do look like top 3, at least in this competition. Like,
I mean, I'm just gonna flat out say it. They are the team to beat. They are from what I've seen so far. Based on performances, I think MOUZ are the team to beat. I think from now on, I'm going to be weighing up every other team. I'll be like, that was good. Was it MOUZ? I'm stating that at this point.
I think it's a fair statement, given what we've seen from the Prime League champions. Absolute beasts in every remark. I mean, Jeskla and promisq had an excellent game. The leader show is back quite clearly, and Tolkin on that.
You know what I love the most? Is they're just so fun to watch as well.
They play great League of Legends for a viewing experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Guys, look, we need time to cool down here. When we're back, we will try and break down what an exciting game that was. Wow, I'm still reeling from MOUZ right there. They definitely look, like you said, the team to beat in the European Masters right now, just purely from how dominant they've been in almost every game they've played so far. They still hold that record of 19 minutes or so for the fastest game in the European Masters. How do we even start to break this down? Do you think it was draft from the beginning, or do you think it was more execution in game?
I mean, you can definitely argue that maybe there were limited windows for Fnatic. I think you could definitely set that argument up because it was very reliant on that mid-jungle. But ultimately, I think there's a lot more than that. I think execution was what went in favor of MOUZ. And you see moments like this where I'm asking, how did you find yourself in this situation?
This is like one of those the scratch reel. So you might be wondering how I got here.
Yeah, which kind of feels like this with MagiFelix on the tower, but he does manage to find Jeskla, and there are moments like this. I mean, this is the one I want to highlight the most, because honestly, it felt like this fight, it could have gone in favor of Fnatic, because they started off well, the Cosmic Radiance utilized. You could see there was a game plan around this composition for Fnatic, and Pride starts to step up, but it's just not enough, because Leader manages to turn things around in this situation. The exhaust comes in, and that is really a gold lead. That is, more than anything, that is highlighted by the gold difference, because if that was even gold in that situation, I think Fnatic would have taken that fight. And it's ultimately, they didn't have the pressure in the early game. MagiFelix wasn't able to put a clamp onto Leader, and it just ended up meaning he took over the game.
Name a more iconic duo, Leader and smurfing on kids at European Masters. Like, this guy is absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually insane. And I think the strategy that Fnatic had in that game was, we're not going to contain, we're going to beat, and it didn't work.
Yeah. I mean, because we typically see things like the Galio, we see, the Azir, the Orianna. Those are picks that we expected from MagiFelix to answer Leader in the scenario. But he went, I'm not just going to answer him. I'm going to pummel him to the ground. And it didn't work out. I think after that nice movement from Obsess to get that good recall, to get the cheater recall, the Leader, he didn't even walk back to lane when he could have. He TP'd in, he wanted to apply the pressure, and it put MagiFelix on the back foot long enough that it just meant the matchup advantage was irrelevant. And once that happened, it felt like bot lane started to really crumble. We knew it was going to be a bit of a sore spot having the Kalista into the Karthus, because you can just apply pressure. It's a Taric as well. We talked about how Bravado is Taric, great champion for him. You're kind of just sitting and watching a Kalista, though, in the laning phase. And it really just meant that fell apart. They were so reliant on that mid lane advantage that it kind of meant they were just waiting for a miracle team fight.
Yeah, and I honestly felt, although we talked a lot about Leader there, I kind of want to move the story to Jeskla, because he was the one that had the gold. He was the one that was snowballing in those lanes. I mean, he really was a powerful teamfight tool.
And I think you can talk about the bot lane in whole. Yeah, promisq was a really good facilitator on the bot.
Journeys,
and I think especially because typically you have a Kalista, you think, okay, let's pair it up with something like Nautilus, Leona, Thresh, and they didn't opt to. They knew they had the strength of the Kalista to rely on. They were like, we want a big playmaker, and the bot was that. There were so many situations where they find picks, find kills, set up fights, and even the defensive play was really good as well. So I think a stellar game from definitely the bot side of the map for MOUZ. It's not that the top side did anything wrong. No. It's just the bot side was really the pop-offs on this roster. So
yeah, I'm very much looking forward to see how MOUZ progress in this tournament. But we have one more game today. It is going to be Intrepid Fox versus Gamers Origin. We'll see you soon.